Hi there, I'm Megan Bovis from emergingcoherence.com, and I wanted to come here today and do this video and talk to you a bit about responsibility from a Theta healing perspective, because responsibility is an issue that's been coming up a lot lately. And I know that responsibility kind of sounds like a downer, but I promise you it's better than it sounds. And in particular, I want to talk about responsibility as it relates to shame, worthiness, and viruses. Okay, so there's a lot of information being offered these days about viruses, what they are, do they really make people sick, etc., etc. And all this is potentially beneficial to look into. However, whatever viruses are, or however you choose to conceive of these things called viruses, a Theta healing perspective will apply to all scenarios. And so from a Theta healing perspective, viruses are attracted to feelings of shame and our beliefs relating to our self-worth. So regardless of what viruses are or are not, whether they make people sick or not, if you have feelings of shame and beliefs of low self-worth, you're more likely to manifest complications related to viruses, okay, whether it's the current virus or just viruses in general. And so back in March for my newsletter, if you happen to subscribe to my newsletter, I talked about viruses, the current virus that we're all experiencing, and my initial sense was that it related to feelings of incompetence and perceived failures, which in turn diminishes our ability to act responsibly. And so what is responsibility? There's many definitions out there, but basically responsibility is the ability to respond, and the ability to respond to and influence something in a beneficial way. And so in order to have responsibility, you need to have influence. And in order to have influence, you need good discernment, you need some wisdom, and you also need the freedom to choose based on your discernment. And when someone is in a state of shame or feelings of unworthiness, they feel like they have been incapable of affecting their life in the way that they want to, and that they have failed to discern correctly and apply wisdom correctly. Okay, so if this is our working understanding of what responsibility is, that it includes things like discernment and wisdom and freedom to choose, we can pretty much rule out some common misconceptions about responsibility. And so the first one that I want to mention is that responsibility is different than an obligation. And this is a big one because responsibility and obligation kind of seem like the same thing. However, when we're acting from a place of obligation, from a sense of obligation, we actually have no influence. We are being influenced and following orders. And we're not allowed to use our own discernment, even if we have it. We're not allowed to apply it. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one I want to point out is that responsibility is different than control, than being controlling of someone or something else. Because people who are controlling of others often feel out of control themselves. And in effect, that is the lack of ability to respond effectively. Someone who is truly responsible knows how to be influential without violating other people's free will. And the last point I want to make is that responsibility is different than being critical of yourself or of others. And while responsibility does involve good discernment, discernment differs from criticism because it involves wisdom and the awareness that what is appropriate the understanding that what is appropriate is unique for each situation, and that what may be appropriate in one situation is not appropriate in another. Okay, so I just want you to take a moment to notice, where are you experiencing these misconceptions in your life right now? These feelings of being obligated, or being controlled, or being controlling, and feeling like your freedom to choose has been taken away to some degree. Okay, and just notice from from where is these feelings being projected? Maybe it's directly from the government or from society. And maybe it's more personal from within the family or the workplace. Okay? But just take a moment to notice where you're experiencing these. And so when you experience an obligation, it often creates feelings of resentment because you've given up your freedom, your sovereignty, and your freedom to choose. And you give it to someone or something else. Okay? But resentment is a choice. And it's usually a choice between resentment and guilt. So I want you to ask yourself, what would you feel guilty about if you were to release yourself from this obligation? Okay? And what other sorts of feelings would be associated with that guilt? So it could be many things, but would you feel ungrateful? Would you feel reckless? Would you feel emotionally vulnerable? Would you feel physically unsafe? Could be any number of things. And then I want you to ask yourself, where did you learn that? Where did you first feel this feeling? And where did you learn that it was costly not to have this obligation? And that if you were to release yourself from this obligation, it would make you feel a certain way that you don't want to feel. Okay. So for example, you might have learned that it's costly to speak up for yourself. And that if you want to keep a roof over your head, you need to stay quiet. Okay. So it's a very common belief for people to have, that this belief that I am obligated to stay quiet in order to survive. And as a result, we equate silence with our responsibility of keeping ourselves alive and maybe even our family alive. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do some theta healing work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a brief visualization. And then with your permission, I will instill new feelings and new possibilities, which will help to open up new neural pathways in your brain and your body to support you in being more responsible. Okay. So at this point, I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Slowly out through your mouth. And I want you to bring your awareness to your heart space. And set the intention that the energy of unconditional love fill your heart space with the awareness that it's safe and that you're worthy and deserving of having this unconditional love. Good. And I want you to send this energy down through your body, down through the bottoms of your feet, and down into the earth. And I want you to witness this unconditional love as a seed of light. And with every breath, this seed of light grows brighter and brighter, and its roots grow deeper and deeper. And on your next inhale, I want you to bring this unconditional love up through its root system and up through the bottoms of your feet, up through your legs, and up through your body, lighting up all of your chakras, and up above the crown of your head into an orb of light. And notice the color of that light, and I want you to put your whole being inside of it. And you're going to go out past the universe and up past the universe. And keep moving higher and higher through the white lights and dark lights, bright lights and dark lights. And feel as you are gently pulled into a jelly-like layer of many colors. This is the laws. And keep moving higher and higher through the orange and the yellow, the green, the blue, and the violet. And keep moving higher and higher until you emerge into a pink mist. This is the law of compassion. And keep moving higher and higher through this pink law of compassion until it emerges into a white, pearly, iridescent white light. And keep moving higher and higher through this pearly, iridescent white light until it turns into pure white. And your orb dissolves, and your body dissolves, and you are safe. This is the energy of the seventh plane, the creator of all that is. And from this place, I'm going to offer you some new feelings, some new possibilities. And all you need to do is say yes if you would like these. Okay. So if you would like discernment between an obligation and a responsibility, and I know how and when to trust myself, that I know what the truth looks like, tastes like, smells like, sounds like. And I know what it feels like, and that it's possible to trust myself without disappointing others. And I know the difference between being responsible and being controlling. That I know how to and when to, and that it's possible to be responsible without being controlling and without being controlled. And I know what it feels like to honor my values and for others to respect my values. And I know that it is possible to belong in society and to a family without giving up my values. I know how to and when to protect my values without being criticized. And I know what my values are without them needing to be criticized. And I know that it's possible and that I do move forward, gaining in security, respect, belonging, and wisdom, because I always act in congruence with my values. If you would like any or all of these, you can say yes. We'll just witness this now. Great. So go ahead and take a deep breath in. So that's a little taste of theta healing. And I hope you feel a little more rooted in your ability to be responsible. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them in the comments section below. And I'm hoping to be back in a couple days to do another video about responsibility, and possibly as it relates to flower essences and or biofield tuning. So I hope you'll check that out as well, and I'll see you then.